Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're diving into the exciting world of generative AI and how it's being used with PyTorch. We're going to be looking at the book Mastering Generative AI with PyTorch. We'll see how machines can make crazy stuff like visuals and even music and designing new drugs.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We're moving from AI that just looks at data to AI that actually makes new content. It's almost like we're watching machines be creative.
Totally. But before we go and make the next AI Da Vinci, we got to learn about the tool that makes it happen, PyTorch.
Right, so PyTorch is this open source machine learning library that's gotten super popular. A lot of that is because it's flexible and easy to use.
I've heard the dynamic computation graph is a big deal. What's that all about?
So unlike some frameworks where you have to set up the whole neural network first, PyTorch's dynamic computation graph lets you change things as you go.
That sounds pretty useful when you're testing out different models.
For sure. Being dynamic makes PyTorch perfect for research and trying new things. You can tweak your models super fast, and PyTorch is also efficient. It's really good at handling all the math behind neural networks, especially tensors, which are like the basic data units.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get why PyTorch is so important in AI. Let's move on to the main event, generative models. The book covers a lot, but we'll focus on three big ones: generative adversarial networks, GANs, variational autoencoders, VAEs, and autoregressive models.
Okay, so GANs are probably the most famous generative models. Think of it like two neural networks battling it out. One creates data, the other tries to tell if it's real or fake.
Like a high-stakes art forgery game where one AI is trying to trick the other.
Exactly. And through this battle, both networks get better. The one making the data learns to make it more realistic, and the one judging learns to be a super detective. But GANs are for more than just images. The really cool thing is that if you understand how they represent data, you can actually control what they make.
So by understanding how GANs work inside, we can make them generate specific things.
Right. And the book dives into advanced GAN stuff like conditional GANs, where you can give the GAN conditions to follow. Like you could say, generate a cat with a hat, and it would actually do it.
That's amazing. It's like giving AI instructions instead of letting it do whatever. What about those cycle GANs I've heard about?
Oh, cycle GANs are really cool. They can translate images between different things, like turning a horse into a zebra or a day scene into night.
Huh.
And it's like machines reimagining what they see.
Those are some serious skills. But GANs aren't the only option, right? What's the deal with variational autoencoders, or VAEs?
So GANs are really good at making realistic stuff. VAEs are more about understanding the structure of data in a probabilistic way.
So instead of making perfect copies, they're trying to get the main idea of the data and then make variations.
Yeah, you got it. VAEs take data, compress it, kind of like GANs, but then use that to make new data that's similar, but not exactly the same as the original.
It's like knowing how to make a dish and then trying different ingredients to make it different while keeping the main flavors.
Exactly. And just like GANs, there are conditional VAEs that let you guide what they create by adding conditions. This makes them really good for things like making new drugs, where you might want to change existing molecules in specific ways.
All right, so GANs are duking it out and VAEs are capturing the essence of data. What about autoregressive models? Those sound more step-by-step.
You got autoregressive models create data one step at a time, with each step depending on the one before. Like writing a story, you start with one word, and then each next word is influenced by the ones before.
So it's like a chain reaction of data.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And this is really powerful for generating sequences of data like text, music, or even things that change over time.
Can you give us some examples of them in action?
Sure, like pixel RNN, which makes images one pixel at a time, guessing the color of each pixel based on the ones around it. It takes a while, but it can make super realistic images.
Cool. So we have these three main types of generative models, each with their own strengths. But I bet training these models is a huge challenge. What are some of the difficulties?
Oh, you're definitely right. Training generative models is tough. One of the biggest problems, especially with GANs, is stability. Remember that battle we talked about? Sometimes it gets crazy and the results are unpredictable.
So the generator and discriminator fight gets out of control and everything falls apart.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Right.
To fix this, researchers came up with things like Wasserstein GANs, or WG-GANs, which use a new way to measure how different real and generated data are, making the training more stable. It's like having a ref in the GAN fight to make sure it's fair.
Makes sense. What about making those high-res images we talked about before? That must take a ton of computing power, especially if you're doing it pixel by pixel.
You're right, high-res images are tough.
Yeah.
That's where progressive growing comes in. Instead of starting with a huge high-res image, the model starts small and slowly makes the resolution bigger as it learns.
So it's like starting with a rough sketch and slowly adding details until you have a finished piece.
Yep. This makes training easier and lets you make incredibly detailed images.
All right, so we covered PyTorch basics and dug into the main types of generative models. This book sounds like a deep dive.
Oh yeah, and we've only just started. Mastering generative AI with PyTorch goes way deeper, talking about advanced stuff like hyperparameter optimization, transfer learning, and even reinforcement learning for generative models. This is where generative AI gets really crazy.
Sounds like there's a lot more to cover. Why don't we move on to see how these concepts are used in the real world?
Let's do it. We can see how these powerful tools are being used to tackle some really cool and important challenges. So I'm really excited to get into some real-world uses of generative AI.
Mhm.
Seeing how these models are actually making a difference.
Yeah, me too. This book is full of cool case studies. Where should we start?
Now let's start with healthcare. The book talks about how generative AI can personalize medicine and make patient care better. Like imagine a language model similar to the ones that power chatbots, but this one's trained on tons of medical data, like patient records and clinical trials.
So it's like we're giving the AI a medical degree, teaching it to understand all those complex medical terms and stuff. What can we actually do with that?
Well, one thing is medical transcription. The AI can listen to conversations between doctors and patients and write up those detailed medical records automatically.
That would save doctors so much time. It's like a super efficient scribe who never misses anything. But the book goes beyond just that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. The really cool part is how these models can help with diagnosis and treatment. By looking at a patient's history, their symptoms, even their genes, the AI can find potential diagnoses that might have been missed and suggest treatments that are personalized for them.
That's incredible. But it also makes you wonder, how do we make sure these AI systems are accurate and safe?
That's a great question. And the book stresses how important testing and validation are. These models aren't meant to replace doctors just to give them more information to make better decisions. It's all about humans and AI working together.
Collaboration is key. Okay, let's switch gears to customer service. The books talks about using generative AI to make really smart chatbots.
Right, so this is about fine-tuning a language model, specifically for talking with customers. Imagine a chatbot that understands not just what you say, but what you mean, like your tone and even how you're feeling.
So it's not like those frustrating chatbots that feel like you're talking to a wall. These ones can understand you and help you.
Exactly. And by training these models on a ton of past conversations, they can answer all kinds of questions, from simple stuff about products to solving tough problems. They can even make recommendations just for you.
That's so cool. It's like they're learning and getting smarter with every conversation. What kind of results are companies seeing with these AI chatbots?
Well, the book mentions one company that saw way shorter wait times for customer service and happier customers overall. They were able to automate a bunch of their support so human agents could focus on the really tricky cases.
So everybody wins. Customers get quicker and more personal support, and businesses run smoother. Now, speaking of personalization, the book also talks about using generative AI in retail, right?
Yep. This is about using models that combine text and images to figure out what customers like and then recommend stuff just for them.
So the AI can understand not just product descriptions, but also how things look, like the style and colors. That's some next level personalization.
Imagine you're shopping for clothes online, and instead of seeing random stuff, the AI suggests clothes that actually match your style, even if you didn't specifically search for them.
That's awesome. No more scrolling through pages and pages of stuff I don't want. But what about marketing? How is generative AI being used there?
Marketing is all about personalization too, and the book talks about using generative AI to make really targeted marketing campaigns that work.
So no more of those generic ads that everyone gets. We're talking about messages that are meant just for me.
Exactly. Like imagine a travel company that knows your past trips and what you like, and then suggests vacations you'd actually want to go on.
No more spammy emails with deals I don't care about. Okay, let's talk about the financial world. It seems like AI would be really useful there, but it's also a sensitive area.
You're right, the book has a case study on using generative AI to catch fraud, which is a huge problem for banks and other financial companies.
It makes sense to use AI to spot patterns that humans might miss, but how do we make sure it's fair and doesn't discriminate?
Yeah, that's really important. The case study talks about how you have to train the AI on data that doesn't have bias, so it treats everyone equally.
Hmm.
And it also emphasizes being transparent, so we can see how the AI is making its decisions and make sure they're fair.
That makes sense. So far, we've seen how generative AI is changing things in healthcare, customer service, retail, marketing, and finance. That's a lot.
And there's more. The book also talks about using it for real-time translation, breaking down language barriers and making information accessible to more people. And it even talks about a generative art app that lets you create art just by describing it.
It's like we're entering a new era of creativity, where technology helps us express ourselves in ways we never could before. Now, before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I'm really curious about what this all means for education.
Education is definitely ready for change, and the book has a really interesting case study on how generative AI could personalize learning, tailoring it to each student's individual needs and learning style.
That sounds amazing. Let's dig into that. So let's talk about how generative AI could completely change education. This last case study from Mastering Generative AI with PyTorch is really something.
Yeah, it paints a picture of a future where learning is totally personalized, adapting to each student's needs and how they learn best.
Instead of everyone being taught the same way, imagine an AI system that's like a personal tutor for every student.
Right. The book talks about a system that figures out what a student's good at, what they struggle with, even what they're interested in, and then uses that to create a unique learning experience.
So like if I'm someone who learns best by seeing things and I have trouble with abstract ideas, the AI could use simulations and visuals to help me understand. Or if I'm already really good at a subject, it could give me harder stuff and connect me with other students who are into the same things.
Exactly. Personalized learning means the AI can keep track of how you're doing and change the pace or difficulty as you go, just like a real tutor.
It's like having your own learning path that changes as you learn, making sure you're always engaged and challenged.
And even though the book doesn't get into specifics, it gives you a lot to think about. Like AI that makes custom quizzes and assignments, gives you instant feedback, and even creates learning materials just for you.
This could be huge, especially for students who don't do well in a normal classroom or those who want to learn faster. But like with any AI, we have to think about the ethical side of things.
Definitely. We have to make sure these systems are fair and don't create any biases that could hurt certain students.
And it's super important to remember that technology should help teachers, not replace them. Teachers are so important for teaching things like critical thinking, creativity, and social skills.
Absolutely. Technology is a tool, and it should make teachers more effective and learning better for everyone.
This deep dive into mastering generative AI with PyTorch has been amazing. We started with the basics of PyTorch and generative models and ended up exploring how this technology is being used in so many fields, like healthcare, customer service, art, and even education.
It's been a wild ride, and I hope our listeners are as excited about the possibilities as we are.
If you're interested in learning more about generative AI, I highly recommend checking out Mastering Generative AI with PyTorch. It's a really great guide to this incredible field.
And remember, the most important thing is to use this technology responsibly and for good.
We've only just begun to see what generative AI can do. As it keeps developing, who knows what amazing things we'll be able to create.
It's a really exciting time, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into generative AI. Keep exploring, keep learning, and until next time, keep creating.